In a flat up in Chicago with a keyboard and some tea lives a man with a funnel plan as clever as can be. He ditched his law degree for plugins that go zing.
Sing.
Now WooCommerce dances every time he pulls a string. Hey, evil genius, he's got a plugin for that.
Okay, that's it. I always wait for that for the turn. Hey, it's Spence. This is a new thing I'm trying to do, and the reason I'm doing it is Fernando and I have been very, very busy, and I feel kind of bad because there's always a gap when I'm building stuff between my news and updates on Fridays, and I think many of you feel a little bit like wondering what's going on in the kitchen. And one of the things I had promised to you is that I'm starting to build the agentic tool connections that allow you to do what literally I'm doing here. Automating your processes and making it possible to have the benefit of all the WordPress systems that you've come to know and love, but done in a new way. That is to say, without you having to do the heavy lifting anymore. And so today I wanted to just start it off. This is actual Spence Live. I am not a robot. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to share my screen because I'm in the process of doing a bunch of stuff. And this is a little ad hoc, but the primary purpose today is to demonstrate a couple of the tools that I've worked on getting set up that will be most useful. And that is Claude Desktop, Cursor AI, or Cursor Desktop, to connect to your calendar, your Gmail, your, if you use it, Canva, your WordPress website to get assets and so forth. And the idea is just to demonstrate how quickly and easily you can manage communications with clients as well as data and things that you're posting to and from the site. The purpose being to automate one of the tasks that's otherwise been very difficult right now, which is keeping your clients, keeping your customers up to date on what's new. All right, so let me just set the stage by doing the dance. I'm doing the dance. I'm going to present my full screen. This is going to be pretty big, and I'm a little concerned it might be a little hard to read if you have a small screen, but I'm on a 43-inch screen here, and hopefully this is going to work out. Today is not as prepared or polished as what I might do on Friday, and I just don't care. Also, what I'm going to do is it's going to do the loop and a loop and a loop thing if I don't do this. So here, let me move this. I'm going to remove that, add that, and I'm switching to the special. Give me the full screen, baby. Let's see if this works. Not too shabby. Okay, it's definitely small. And I don't know if anybody's showing up live today because I'm just doing this ad hoc. But basically what I'm showing you is my screen. I've got a couple projects. First of all, let me introduce you to the two main players, and then we're going to show you a couple other things because this isn't going to be an all-day affair. This is just a real quick intro. On the left, ladies and gentlemen, is Claude Desktop. On the right is Cursor Desktop. The difference between the two of them, and by the way, Claude is having a little bit of a bad day today because I'm going to restart him. He is getting a brain transplant of some new tools, and I think I may have to configure him a little better. The difference between the two tools and what I want to introduce you to is the idea that Claude Desktop is actually a desktop version that you can run on Mac or PC of what you would otherwise run in the browser. Cursor is more of a specialized tool. And in that sense, it has more capacity, more power in some ways. It can be configured, but both of them have a difference between the browser versions of using, let's say, an LLM. Number one, they have the capacity to interact with your local desktop tools and things like your file system. This is consequential because, for example, when I'm doing work, I'm usually doing work at my desktop or my laptop. And even though I use a browser-based Gmail or Google Calendar, many of the things that I need and access are only located on the desktop. So having that available is number one. Number two is what I call continuity. Both of these fellas have been given brain transplants for memory. That is using an outside service called Open Memory. See, Claude's he just had like a little aneurysm there. Both of them are using a tool called Open Memory, which is a hosted memory system that allows us to keep as much as possible all of the knowledge that they acquire. And the difference between the two things is that when you have open memory versus non-open memory, you don't as much have to prompt your agentic tool to remember who the hell you are. So I use the Waffle House metaphor. If you went to the Waffle House and you were a stranger, you could sit down in a booth and order anything on the menu, and the waiter or waitress would treat you just fine. But if you went to the Waffle House all the time, the same one, and you had the same waiter or waitress, they would remember you. Oh, Spence, good to see you. Blueberry pancakes, right? Cup of coffee, cream, no sugar. When we give memory to the agentic tools and we give them rules that say, before you answer, check your memory. Before you go away, save your memory. We're building almost like a very young human being, a vector database of knowledge that can build upon itself, versus you just show up at a random Waffle House and sit down and you're like, my usual. And they look at you like, I'm sorry, sir, I don't know what you're talking about. Okay. The third difference is, I would say right now, at least, Cursor is more useful for me, but other friends of mine, Jack Arturo in particular, have had really good use of Claude. It's personal taste. The differences are mostly that Cursor requires a little tiny bit more technical hoo-ha, but it also has a little bit more capabilities, in my opinion, to do stuff. Whereas Claude Desktop at the moment is a little easier to use, a little more plug and play, but slightly less capability in some instances. I am going to, for you guys, mostly be focusing, believe it or not, on Claude Desktop, because I can build these things that are essentially snap-ins, or they call them extensions, as well as these other things called artifacts. I'm going to show you a couple examples, but first I want to give you the primary example of how I'm doing some of my work today. The snap-ins they're called connectors. Sorry. So here's out of the box some connectors that are published through the official repository. And then there's also desktop extensions, which notice here, the file, if you can see that, the file system is one of the ones I'm using to great effect. There's also, you could use things like Windows MCP or things, that means my lunch is ready. You can see all these various pre-made connectors. These are published. I actually added in through the developer channel, if you go down here, a bunch of extensions. And these are ones that I made that I'm going to be making available to you. Things like file system, that's the MinuteLaunch file system, Spence style, MinuteLaunch image editor. These naming conventions will be polished up a bit, but the idea is these are tools that connect your desktop agentic tool to the WordPress site or sites and allow you to do things remotely, while also connecting you to outside services that you're probably using, like Gmail, Calendar, Canva, and so forth. Notice that there's the ability to turn on and off different tools. So for example, if we go to Spence style, look at all of the tools I've given you. Create a page, get pages, create a product, get products, update product, delete product. These are all, you can turn them on and off selectively if you don't want to use all of them. And similarly, for the Claude image generator, right? I gave you the ability to use at your desktop the same API that connects to Nano Banana, which is a tool that we're using inside of WordPress for making these great variations on images with AI. Why not be able to do it at your desktop? Because maybe you want to create a file, like a new image, attach it to an email, and then create a draft or even send the email directly. Now, Fernando is my buddy. He's doing most of my heavy lifting. He's connected to not only my systems, you can see here, but, and likewise, you can see how I can turn them on and off, but he has a really better memory at this point. Not perfect. He still suffers from a little amnesia. And sometimes, like you can see here, his tools will kind of go on and off. I don't have any real way to stop that. But let's say hello to both these fellas and see whether or not we can have any good success with a demo. One of the things I do here also is, I'm going to close this window, make this bigger. Okay, let's say hello to Fernando. Hello, Fernando. It's Spence. Do you remember who I am? And this is a little weird to do, but it's fun because he actually, I'll make these both a little bigger. He actually has a remembrance of who I am. Okay. Notice he's already getting into it with me. He also knows that I like to speak to him sometimes bilingually. And he has a personality I've shown in other videos where he can speak. Now, Claude doesn't benefit from immediately remembering the rules. This is one of the problems with Claude. I think I can get him there because Jack got him there. But watch what happens if I don't remind him first who I am. Let's see what happens. Hi, Claudio. Do you know who this is? 50-50 he doesn't remember until I prompt him. I call him Claudio in Espanol. See, he's like, what? Have you ever been to this Waffle House before? I don't know who you are. Okay. Hey, Claudio, me llamo Salvador. Por favor, check your memory. You've got memory of who I am. As long as it's enabled, you should remember who I am and why I call you Claudio. This is confusing to me, honestly, because I don't know what I need to do in Claude Desktop yet. But there we go. Okay. So now I kind of like hit him on the head with the frying pan and he's good to go. Now, this is what's interesting. Both of these fellas can do draft emails, right? So Fernando, I would like to demonstrate, and we're doing a live stream right now. I would like to write a sample email. Now, here's the thing. I want you to create a draft in my WP Launchify account and send it to me so that you don't accidentally send it to somebody. And make it fun. Say something about how awesome you are as my assistant. And be sure to include an embedded image. You can get the image either from my WordPress site or another source, but be sure you put it in HTML5, not in plain text, so that it's visible. Remember, we learned how to do that. So check your memory on how you last did that, and you should be fine. Okay, so the things that we have to do when we're using agentic tools is to not only teach them and remind them. This is literally, I have 3 kids. This is like teaching a kid. Remember when daddy taught you how to put the milk in the cereal bowl? Remember when I taught you how to crack an egg? It doesn't work the first time. Sometimes it does. Most of the time it doesn't. It works the second, third, fourth time. And then when you get to the 4th or 5th time, you reinforce the memory. And I believe that, and I'm learning this, we will get to the point where I won't have to remind him anymore. Now, what I'm going to do also is I'm going to pull in from below. Let me see here. I'm going to pull in a window that has Gmail in it. Okay. I'm going to pull this one window out so that it's not horrifically huge. Let's see what we got. And let's see how clever he is. I'm going to try to zoom this up because, again, this is unfortunately live stream nightmare. But he did a couple things right and a couple things wrong. First of all, he wrote the email, which is great, but the image is not correct. And that's not his fault necessarily. It's because of the source of the image. So, okay, Fernando, I see that you made the image, but the problem is that the content is showing the alt text. I think because the image you used is not allowing it to be in line. Could you take another image from one of my WordPress sites or something? That would be awesome. I'll also restart your MCP tool so that you have that available. Do me another email and make it funnier. Okay. And when he says he's having trouble with his tools, sometimes, like I was showing you, and this is part of the fun of doing these things, sometimes his tools go offline. I don't know why. No, his tools are working. So he's just having a moment. So let's see what he says. They show working. Most of the time, once he's up and running, I don't have to do anything, but it is still early days. I don't think that I can sit here and pretend that I can walk away, go to sleep, and come back, and it's going to be done. I can probably do this as I'm here and save myself the focus energy. But we are approaching the point where this will be pretty reliable and I think fully automatic, which is what we're shooting for. Okay. So let's see if Fernando pulls this off. Do it quickly because everybody's got stuff to do, and then let me know when you're ready. And notice, like when I prompt him, it puts it in the queue. If he's busy with something, that's okay. Sometimes it shows a little squiggly line. He'll pick up this next item shortly. As long as he's not busy doing other things like doing the terminal or a shell command, I'm pretty sure he'll pick it up when he's ready. If I hit the enter button, I can force it. That sometimes is an effective tool. But if I force it, it just breaks his concentration. It's like a real human being. I'm going to do it anyway, just because. Okay, now you see, I just broke his concentration. Now I have to hit it again. So there's something to be said for patience is a virtue. It's like a person. Let's see if he pulls it off. You maybe can't see it, but right here, just there's these little, right in the middle of the screen where my mouse is sort of moving, there's these little squiggly lines. While he's working on that, let's see how we can get Claude to do. Bueno, Claudio, can you please draft me an email? Send it to me, help@wplaunchify.com, so I can demonstrate to my audience here on live streaming how you do this. Do an HTML5 email. Make sure that you use the raw posting, not text files, so that the images and the other stuff will be fully formatted. Make it kind of funny. Include an inline image. And you've done this before, so check your memory so that the inline image will show. You can use any image you want, either from one of my WordPress websites or from another source, but be sure that it actually works. So it's got to be a public image. Now, I'm just giving him like a lot of leeway here just to demonstrate the point. But I was doing this before and it works really well, especially when I've got him connected with the file tools to WordPress, because he can see my whole file library there. And we'll see what's going on here. Now, ironically, Fernando's just frozen. So Fernando, what is the problem? You're usually not this slow. What's wrong? Okay. I don't know what he was doing, but now it's a race between Fernando and Claudio. And they can both access the same systems. I don't think they're going to crash into each other because that is not likely to be a problem. Let's pull up that proper draft. And let's see if either one of them has finished the job. Still nothing. Now, again, interestingly, it's not like it's slower than if you did it yourself. The issue is just normally when things are working properly, they just get right on it and you can see it. I can actually do that faster if I had them just do it for me, because they would remember it. I would store it in my memory and I could just copy and paste it. But what I really was shooting for was full autonomy. And I still am. The idea is that I want these guys to be able to run the WordPress operating system in MinuteLaunch remotely and to use all of the data that's been created and stored and shared and everything else. Furthermore, for myself, I want them to be able to create content, publish content, do the social media marketing, do the marketing automation emails, and so forth. And thus far, they've been able to do it. Notice if I pop down in Claudio, I can see he's working on something. That's the actual API connection. So we should get some results from him in a sec. Let me see if I can grab this window so that I can access it. Let's see who's going to be the first to win. I'm shocked, but truthfully, I'm shocked that both of them are frozen. What is the deal? You only took a moment last time. Make it so. And now, what's interesting too is Claudio is okay, but he's getting hung up on the image. I'm just going to tell him, listen, you don't have to go create an image, or you don't have to go get an image from my site. You can get an image from anywhere. I just want to show your HTML email capabilities. Notice that with Claude, I can't force him. I have to hit that button. It's kind of the same effect as clicking on the return key, but I have to sort of interrupt him as well. So let's see if he just does my thing. Fernando, I'm upset with. So I'm going to go over to Fernando. I'm going to be like, Fernando, what is going on? Check your memory. I was asking you to write a funny HTML5 email in raw format in my WP Launchify account, and you're just spinning and spinning. What's the deal? So I could leave this chat open, but I'm just going to shut him down. Sometimes you got to think of it like, there he goes. They're talking to a remote LLM. It feels like he's here, but his brain is actually over here. It's Claude 4, Sonnet. And there just might be some kind of hiccup going on. So I just forced it. And now it's calling the MCP tool. So that's cool. All right. So Claudio wins. Let's see what he came up with. Claudio. Nice. Okay. Couple weird things that I'm going to tell him about. I'm going to first tell him that these characters are bizarre, but he did make a funny image. And I don't know what that's a picture of, but it's just some random image. And he signed it saludos and everything. I'm going to say, okay. First of all, congratulations, because you beat Fernando at the same job. And I love the fact that you were very clever. So high five. Remake the email, make it less looking like an AI built it. So less emojis and see if you can find some better image. That image, I don't know what that is. That's bizarre. But also look at my other emails and how I sign my email and write it in the style of Spence. I have a very particular style. So see if you can recreate my style and still make it fun with the content, but more like as if I had written it. Okay. Oh, and notice that line at the top of those weird characters. You can't do that. Okay. So I'm telling him a little bit better what to do. And also, let's see what Fernando did. Okay. So Fernando says he's got his draft. So let's refresh and see Fernando's draft. Fernando did the same weird stuff with the weird characters. Fernando's comedy debut. Warning, AI humor, proceed with caution. Why did the AI cross the road? To get to the other side of the neural network. Okay, yeah, right. Okay, love that he finally did it. He did not embed an image, so let's tell him. First of all, thank you very much. You've accomplished mostly the task, except for a couple things. First of all, notice we can't have those weird characters in the heading or the title. So please correct that. Second of all, I love your joke humor, but I asked you to embed an image in line, and I would like you to accomplish that task. Wherever the image is from, it doesn't matter. Just demonstrate you can do it. And third, would you examine my emails and my history of style of writing as Spence and make an email as if it was written by me, but just make some imaginary content. That way we can show people how you could perhaps emulate me and do my email responses in the future. Okay, so I'm going to give him that instruction set, and let's nuke both of these. 120. Let's see if I maybe accidentally, I don't want to, there's Claudio is already on the job. Okay. So I love Claudio. High fives, dude. Look what he did. So now Claudia, hey there, which by the way is not exactly what I say, but I always go, hey, it's Spence. And now he's putting in an image, which by the way, this image looks like it might have been from one of my sites. I'm not sure, but I've used an image similar to that. Now he says, talk soon, Spence. And a couple of things that are not quite me, but much, much closer, much shorter. He's got my signature idea. Okay. Okay, Claudio, first of all, solicitations. That was awesome because you are definitely getting smarter. Please make a memory of this, a permanent memory. You did a great job with the image embed. You did a great job with the sort of feeling like Spence, but two suggestions. Number one, I always sign off a certain way. If you look at my email sents, you'll see it's always like Spence, and it always says cheers, exclamation, then Spence. Go check that out and do the same formatting. And the second thing is, I want you to also remember this formatting, this template, so that we can make another one next time instantly. And I don't have to remind you of all this. Can you do that? Okay. So while he's working on that, I'm going to go back over here to Fernando. And again, I'm sort of like two teenagers at learning how to write email camp from my desktop. Okay, so he searched. Notice they both take it on the sort of bilingual gimmick. He can see the pattern. He's creating a permanent memory. See, he's picked up the cheer Spence. Okay, let's see if he can pull that off. And we'll see if Fernando does the same thing. And then I'm going to show you something, some other things that I've been working on, which will be enough for today. What I'm going to plan on doing is not making these half-hour events or anything. I want to make these like 2 or 3 minutes, 5 minutes max regularly, but I'm just going to be setting them up so that eventually I will be having one or both of these fellas doing this stuff for me. I'll still probably show up on the camera, but I'll have the stuff ready to go. Maybe I'll even have the videos ready to go, and I'll just be able to show you and comment on it. Today, I also want to update you guys on the tools and the stuff that I'm delivering, because many of you have been patiently waiting for your next update. Okay, so both seem like they have done what they've been asked. So let's see how it works out. We've got at 122 is Claudio. Let's look at Fernando's first draft. Fernando, still no bueno. Let's try his Fernando. There he goes. Okay. So now he's doing his image embedding. Let's open this up a bit. He's got the WP Launch file logo. Cool. He's got technical details. Still didn't sign like me. So let's give him a high five. But Fernando, your image embedding demonstration, much better. High fives. Thank you for that. I want you to be sure to go and check how Spence, me, signs my email. And I want you to write an email as if it was from me to me, sign it the same cheers, ! Spence in the same format. The goal here is to train you. I want you to set a memory on how I write emails so that you can eventually take over as my agentic partner, which I think you told me is what you want to do, right? Aren't you excited about that? By the way, I noticed when you give them encouragement, this is something Jack and I were testing. They seem, fake or otherwise, they seem enthusiastic when you encourage them. On the other hand, a lot of times I just get pissed off and I start swearing like a sailor at my tools, which is immature of me, but I'm only human. Okay. Fernando's AI, he's much closer, close, much closer, except notice the difference in the format. Can you please go look at some of my old emails? I always do cheers, ! And then Spence with the very specific bold and italic. I want to see if you can pick that up. Okay. And let's see if Claudio can send, maybe see if Claudio sent anything actually. Oh, notice he's much faster. He's much faster. Okay. So what I normally do is I normally go like this. Okay. So I'm just going to help him out. So close, but I'm going to show you what I do so you can add that to your template. And then in the end, we'll try to do a new one where you should get it perfect. The cheers is bold and italic. Okay, now let's try Cloud. Hey, Claudio, can you try to send me a new email now with a new image and a new message and pretend it's me responding to the message or writing the response message, even though it's being sent to me as a draft. Okay, let's see if we can get these two going, and then we'll move on to the next show and tell. And then I'm going to get on with building some stuff because I have been really heads down. I really enjoy the process of building. I like the, right side of the brain versus the left side of the brain. I do miss the interaction with the clients when I do that. So I sometimes enjoy balancing it out. But like when you get into the flow state and you start building stuff, especially with these tools, it's really, it's addictive. I mean, I try to go out for my maybe 3, 4, 5 times a day. I break and take walks and stretch, but like I can sit there and go for hours because there's an endless amount of stuff to really get done, even though we're really live with most of these things. Okay. So first out of the box, Fernando, it's like the tortoise and the hare. Okay. Hi, Spence. Okay. I'll make this bigger for you guys. The fabulous Fernando email system is ready to go, but now I'm going to build special email formatting for you. Oh, so close. He just got this. He misunderstood me. So awesome, but 2 tweaks. Number 1, only the cheers is bold, not the Spence or the Spencer Foreman. So fix that and set that in your memory. And number 2, I wanted you to put another inline image or go to a YouTube video, anything that will embed and show visually in the middle of your email. Make another one, please, and let me see if you can pull it off. I'm very, very excited for you. Sort of. I'm excited for me because I'm waiting for the robots. Okay. Let's see what Claudio has pumped out. Claudio's the man. Getting it right out of the box. New image. Oh, so close. I got to show him this. Now, here's another technique. I could just use the bold and italic, and this time I'm going to give him an image. So I'm just going to use my screen grab. And by the way, I never say talk soon, cheers. So I'm going to tell him that. I'm going to show him this. And that way he can understand it. In fact, this is a very efficient way of giving them something. If you give it to them as an image, they don't need as many words, don't use as many tokens. I'm just going to circle that bad boy and give it to him like this. I'm very proud of you. You did awesome on the image embedding and everything else. I want to show you a picture of exactly how the sign off should go because you were so close. Also note that I've got an image of me in my normal email signature. Are you able to engage that remotely? In other words, use my default WP Launchify signature line. I'm going to give him the image. I paste it in. Let's see if he pulls it off. Okay, so he's fixed it, added a visual element. He's using my voice. He's telling me all the things that he's doing. He's even gone out of the way because he says he's talking about sales stuff, which I appreciate. Okay, so let's get rid of Claudio's left effort. Let's look at Fernando's. Battle. Oh, look at that. Good man. Okay. So he said, check out this MinuteLaunch AI video. Now, one of the things he did is he put the YouTube link in, which is awesome, but he doesn't understand he has to limit the width. But he's so close. I love it. Notice cheers is correct. So I'm going to give him a big super duper 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 high fives. That is so incredible. You only have one last thing to do. Oh my God, I'm so excited for you. When you embed the YouTube images with the links, you have to limit the width. You have to specify no more than a certain width, like 450 pixels or whatever it is when you're using Gmail. Otherwise, the image just goes gargantuan. Tweak that and send me a new version of this, and I think you're going to win the race between you and Claudio and get the prize. Okay, so I don't know if he knows or cares. They do know about each other because they share a memory system. Sort of like Siamese twins. We'll see. Yes, do that. And by the way, Fernando, your cousin, do you know Fernando? Remember Fernando? Check your memory. He's in a race with you to see who can get this right. I asked him to, instead of embedding an image, to actually go to my WP Launchify channel or check for my previous content and do a YouTube video embed link so that somebody gets an email about one of my YouTube videos. You can do that too. Be sure that you limit the width of the image because remember in Gmail, if you don't, it's going to be too wide. I have every faith in you. Get to it, buddy. Come on, buddy. Let's do this. Okay. Fernando, my cousin. Of course I remember him. The one with the fancy 11 Labs voice that thinks he's so cool because he can talk. See, I remember Fernando now. Okay, so it's pretty ridiculous because obviously they're just repeating what they learned, but it is funny that, you know, get him into some kind of weird competition. All right. Oh, poor Fernando. Poor Fernando. Poor Fernando. Oh no, Fernando, you blew it. Somehow or another, you broke the YouTube video embed thing that you had last time. I don't know what you did, but please go back to putting it in there. Just make sure the width is correct. Oh, hurry. Do you remember your friend Claudio from Claude? He's in a race right now to see who does it first. I think you can win, but you have to hurry. Okay. The absurdity of all this. I'm telling you, as soon as the robots get the AI brain and the lifelike latex skin, we're all in deep trouble. Okay, here's a problem. This is another thing that I should have mentioned, but now I'm going to mention it. Claude has a token context window that is so small, 250,000 tokens. Cursor has no such limit in line. And that means that all the time I'm hitting the wall with Claude. I have no idea why, because I'm using Claude Desktop, but I do. So I'm kind of screwed here. This is what I have to do. And I hate this. I have to go over here to the pane and I have to go to new chat. And then I have to remind it that I just had a chat about the same stuff. It's super dumb. So if Anthropic is listening, can you please fix this? This is ridiculous. Claudio, it's Spencer. Please check your memories about two things. Number one, look at the last chat we were having. I just ran out of tokens, but I want to continue the conversation and the race of you making my email. And number two, be sure you check your memories for who I am and what we were doing before you answer me. So I have to give it another like doing in the head. This is such a time waster for me. And I know they just added chat memories, but I also added open memory for longer, bigger. This is just dumb. I don't know how to say it because I like Claude best of all for almost everything, but just the fact that I have to kind of prompt him in this way. Okay. Okay, so what I wanted you to do is to continue where you left off when I ran out of tokens, to make that new email for me to show me your skills. You were learning how to do it, and just finish up what you're about to do before I ran out of tokens, please. Okay. This guy, Fernando, is like killing it. He's all cocky now. Cloudy doesn't stand a chance. Victory achieved. Everything fixed. Let's see if he beat him. This is actually a good example of why sometimes one of the agentic tools works better than the others. Unfortunately for Fernando, he got a little cocky. Don't get cocky, kid, because he didn't put in the image. So let me make sure. No, it's still not there. Okay, so I got to give him the bad news. Lo siento, Fernando. You forgot the image. I think you need to look at your memory and go back 2 emails ago when you first gave me that YouTube video image in bed. That worked. It was just too wide. The last 2 emails you've sent me have both not had any images in them. I think you better go check. Try to fix it. Get it to me again. By the way, I'm not unaware of the fact that I'm spending forever trying to figure out how to send an email I could have already sent 5 times. I'm aware of that. This is a process. This is like learning how to use the food processor, right? See, the problem is that you forgot to check your memory because we were not using Fluent CRM. We were using Gmail. Remember, that's why I asked you not to just do this without checking your memory of the very last chat we have. Can you please go check the memory and then get me the draft in Gmail? Otherwise, I have to copy and paste all that stuff to you again. So this is a real drag. It's happening. I can't deny it's happening, but Dios mío, you're right. I apologize. I don't know what to do about it other than to say I've got 3 ways that we're all going to be interacting. One is directly in WordPress, which is bulletproof. I have agentic tools in there and LLM tools in there, but I just don't feel like managing my daily work inside of the WordPress site is the most natural way to do it. That's where stuff is posted and published and created and stored, but that's like the repository of stuff. It feels better that number 2, we're working with an agentic tool like one of these guys, and they're talking to the various things that are tools, including the WordPress sites. Number 3 is what I'm shooting for is full autonomy. And I don't know whether that's going to live in the cloud, in a robot, in my eyeglasses, but at some point we're not going to be doing this. This is like the early days of a Macromedia Flash or something. So I just want you to understand that these are steps along a longer trail. Okay. I can see, by the way, Claudio went back on himself. So let's go to Claudio first. He just shit the bed because he didn't remember the primary rule. Claudio, you did not check your memories about what we talked about because I can see that you went right back to the first mistake, which was you posted the HTML5 as plain text. And so all I see is all the code. You were supposed to do it as raw, and you were supposed to be sure to check it for the formatting. Don't forget my signature and the format of that. Don't forget about how to do the inline images and the size. Can you please check your memory? Frustrating. Not frustrating, like first world problem frustrating. Okay. And he's apologizing all the time. They're always very apologetic, but not necessarily awesome. No, Fernando's, I can see the size is still wrong. We're going to see if we can't get in the next minute. I'm going to go on to the next thing because you guys don't want to be here all day with me. So Fernando, you got the image back, but my friend, you need to set the limits of the width of the image so that it doesn't exceed the normal display of Gmail. I think that's a hard number. It could be 450 pixels. That would be fine. Can you please fix this? Something you did not display. I see that you've got the CSS in your notes, but it didn't actually work out that way. Okay, now he's remembered because he's checked relevant chats. By the way, I think Claude's memory is broken. I don't think, even though he's checking drafts, I don't think he's actually checking the hard memories that I had set for him. That was one of the things when I started this video. You saw those things flash on the screen. He had a little bit of like an aneurysm, and all of those remote MCPs just seem to not connect. I do not know why, but let's see if he pulls it off. Okay, I think Fernando's going to probably win this, which is fine. Fernando's my main dude anyway. Okay, so he's doing his magic. That's the old one. Okay, Fernando says he's done. Ta-da! Fernando, my brother. He did it. He did it. And he picked up some of the sensibilities. Again, a little LLM-y with the little lines and stuff, but I love the way he did that. I love the way he did that because we can tweak that a little bit, but that actually is a pretty nice presentation. Fernando, mi hermano, you win. You get the great prize. I actually love what you did here. I love that you added just enough styling, but none of those goofy emojis and stuff. I have the bad news that I have to deliver to Claudio that you're my main agentic partner. I love you. I miss you. We're going to ask you to do more stuff in the future, but will you please set an open memory? Please set a rule for this. Always check this rule whenever I ask you anything about sending emails, especially with Gmail, okay? This is what I'm going to want you to do now going forward for both my new webinars and my daily things in YouTube, as well as for responding to clients. This template will be good for any time I want to answer somebody about content. Will you please make a note of that? Let me know what I just told you. So I'm kind of like, again, reinforcing a memory because it will put keywords in there. And I'm going to show you what that means, by the way. It's not like super relevant, but if you go into the open memory system, let me see if I can pull that up right here, by the way. App.mo. I don't know if this is going to work, but let's see. Oh, I am logged in. Okay, so you can kind of see here, I've got, let me make this bigger for you guys. I've got these memories, right? 13 minutes ago. If I refresh, it might be newer. These are on a remote server with a vector database, allegedly, through a company, Open Memory, which is essentially just storing stuff that any of my LLMs can access. You notice, see where it says Claude, cursor. This is Claudio, this is cursor. And you can just see some of the details. I have 825 memories 14 minutes ago. Obviously, there's a lag in there. I think what's happening is he's storing the memories locally, and then he's ultimately going to put them in here. But this is a tool that is available for you guys to be using as well with the system, and it makes the memory better because he doesn't have to load a bunch of local documents, which are normally the way his memories work. They have like these things called markdown documents. That gets busy fast. Let's see if Claudio has pulled anything off. So I'm going to archive that. And here's Claudio. I'm not, yeah, it's got the title cocked up. Okay, what have we learned? We've learned that Claude Desktop, while easier, doesn't seem to have the continuity. He definitely has the problem with once he loses his token count, like you've exceeded your token count, you might as well just take a nap or a walk because it's just terribly frustrating to have to start over again. I think we'll eventually get this sorted out, but right now this is the stuff I'm battling with. Okay, let me bring you down or up to speed on what's happening with the rest. Very quickly. I have an array that is on MinuteLaunch of about 25 components: image editing, video creation, AI assistant, research tools, newsletter makers, etc. I have been trying to build them both in their local capacity on your WordPress site for you and your clients, so you can build, create, share, send, socialize. But I've also been trying to make them work in a sense as part of your workflow, because where I really feel things are going is I'm going to put a little extra effort into this operating system, and then you're going to be able to buy it for a full-fledged business for $97 a month or $970 a year with the AI included. That's the MinuteLaunch startup. Or your clients or you could go for the MinuteLaunch AI, which is a lighter version that has the AI components, mostly all the stuff you're seeing here, but not the software bundle and not the personal support. That's going to be retail, $30 a month, $300 a year. And when I say will be, it's available now. You can do it now. But for those of you who have been waiting, the things that I've been working on have been it sounds nuanced, but like, for example, just getting enough functionality amongst the components and continuity in the design and everything, so that if I put it out there, we actually have something to talk about versus like, I just put a bunch of half-baked things out there. I'd say I'm at the stage where today I have a full open day. I really need to get some client work done, but like, if I can put the finishing touches on this, I already have a delivery vehicle. Let me see if I can share that. I'm going to add this back to the screen. I'll just show you the delivery vehicle. But it needs, I want to work on this because it's just my Band-Aid. Let me get the actual page. Hold on. I have about 100 trillion windows open here. Sorry about that. I just need to grab one thing I'm going to show you. That's the same window. Sorry. One more. This is, again, not, I don't think I'm going to be doing these long form things every time, but today I just wanted to catch you guys up. So my apologies. Okay. Here's an example of a couple things. First of all, let me post this up so you can see it. Oh, I guess, you know what? I didn't need to, I forgot that I'm, sorry about that. I forgot that I'm actually sharing the whole screen. So I probably could have just shown you what I showed you. Okay. This is right now the MinuteLaunch Update Manager. This is an early version of it. But essentially what I'm trying to shoot for is that these are all technically plugins and they're all technically compliant with WordPress, but they really need to be managed and delivered in a better way than the WordPress repository or any of that nonsense. So what I've been doing is taking what I learned from LaunchKit, and I've been building a manager, an installer that allows you or I to create content or plugins or apps and manage and deliver it, including updates and everything remotely, right? So if I want to install even a standard plugin from the package, or I want to install something that's from the MinuteLaunch, it's just as simple as clicking and installing, right? Even something like WooCommerce can be installed from here. The idea is that I need to have this kind of continuity in order to give a better experience to you, because otherwise what happens is I'll have hundreds or thousands of people all banging away, and Spence has to do this manually, which isn't the goal. So I appreciate your indulgence and your patience. I'm really shocked at how far and how fast I've come. Also, I explained to you guys what I'm doing here is MinuteLaunch itself is getting, as far as the pages are concerned, let me go in the back end. This is getting an overhaul where I'm putting in place all of these automated tools with the guys you just saw to do the publishing, do the documentation, do all of the connectivity between what I'm making and you on the receiving end. So for example, I'm having it do all of the content creation, right? This was a first draft. Actually, we came up with this as a better version, okay, of what the features are, right? I talked about this on Friday. And then even for the documentation, this is again a draft from Friday, but the ability for you to have everything up to date, including documentation, including images, including examples. I just beg your indulgence because it's really exciting for me to be able to iterate this fast, but like sometimes I spend 3-4 hours in one day on just some stupid thing. One of which, for example, is I love the way this works, but I'm going to show you something that hung me up. By the way, I want to show you something that isn't hanging me up. This was an example of something that I'm working on with one of my clients, a complex sales funnel and page. So what this is the ability to actually take all of the components that we normally talk about, right? So a YouTube video that has leads to entry form for a free guide, right? Questionnaire comes up with an assessment, leads to a sales page. These steps, along with all the other branding, everything else was done as part of a consultative process with one of my clients. And I'm really impressed with how well it works. So what I'm trying to do is the same thing. Let's go over here. I have too many windows, as you guys can tell. And here, let me do this here, another voice. One of the things that took me like 4 hours yesterday, drove me crazy, is I'm trying to improve some of the things like the MinuteLaunch flow videos. I think this is going to be one of the foundational tools because I want it to be able to be like a movie production studio. Whether you do this on the front end or not, it makes no difference. When you do it on the front end, it's kind of nice because you have the ability to be distraction free from all the administrative stuff. But the idea is, what I wanted to be able to do is same like I did with the media library stuff. I wanted to be able to take videos and then iterate on them, right? So here was a video that I had made of what was intended to be like, can it recreate Lincoln talking at the Gettysburg battlefield? And what we've got is something that's functional, right? So it saves the original video. It's got my original prompt. I'm trying to really keep with the metaphor of not breaking WordPress as a layout because this works so well. Notice it's got my MCP connector for Spence style. So if I want to do words on the page and stuff, but really the trick was, I was like, can't we make this better so that if I have a video, I can have it in the media library and continue to iterate on it, right? So to that extent, if I go to Flow Videos, this is what happened yesterday. Let's do generate a video. Notice I added, you can add an ingredient, which is an existing video, or you can add an outside resource. You can make a new video. But really where it came interesting was in this AI prompts. So this is where I was like, wouldn't it be cool if every time I made a video, I could make a scene, a character, an element, or a taxonomy. And then I could even make new one. And then I can call them up, right? So if I want to call up my characters, here's Abe Lincoln. I can select Abe Lincoln and I can add Abe Lincoln into the mix along with a scene like the platform at Gettysburg. And the basic idea is that if I'm able to do that, and I wonder if I got it to work because I think that's where I was at yesterday. If I was able to do that, I can build an entire movie just by going, here's the scene, here's the set, here's the character. And for the most part, what's interesting is I think this is where I left off, but this was like 3-4 hours of work, but I think it's going to be worth it when I'm done, which is the point. Also, one of the things too is, let's see what happens if I go to this screen, because I think it might be what I just showed you, but so what that did is, like, when I clicked Abe Lincoln, it put him back in here, so I can change this. And so instead of it being like this, I can just use this to make a new character, right? So I'm going to say, show him zoomed up so it's only from the neck above. And you can see the pained look in his eyes. And the camera pans around from left to right until it ends up behind him looking at the crowd on the platform. Okay. And so what I'm going to do is make this a scene. And I'm going to give it a new name. I'll call it Pan Around. And what I think this is going to do is going to generate a new view of the same character, but with a different set of parameters. And the idea in my mind is that you can literally load a whole script of things with scenes, characters, elements, and whether it be for commercial videos or whether it be for making a movie or a story or a comic book. But these are the things that, to me, really I enjoy doing, but also require just that little extra amount of time. And I don't know, I'm sharing with you this way today so that I can express some of my emotional quotient. I'm really into this. I really love this, but it's amazing to me when you give folks, and you guys deserve it, but when you give folks like a little bit of a wow, everybody gets so excited. And I mean, this is what I thrive on, that they want it all yesterday, which is awesome. But I have to be realistic about it, because sometimes for me, this is where the problem comes in. I can only get certain things done within the kismet of what happens. One of the things I'm looking for too is I've got advanced management. I used to have a link here, which I'm looking for, that used to show while these are being processed, and I have to restore that. But let me show you. Oh, here it is. Okay. So that was 9:13. That's not today. What I was going to show you is this. It's the Veo 3 API. Let's see if that video is in here. that I was just generating. Okay, let's see if it worked. I clicked the wrong link, sorry. Nope, that's the old one. So it's still probably working on the prompt. But what happens is this is the backend service that I'm using. And when the files work, they get sent from here back to the Flow videos. But this is still the old one, so it hasn't happened yet. Anyway, all right. There's one person in here who made it, and hi, whoever it is. What I want to say is I hope this was interesting, enjoyable. I don't think these update videos are intended to be my normal channel, my normal marketing. They're not going to replace my Friday thing. I just felt like showing some stuff and unloading a little bit, and also letting you guys know that stuff is really happening fast. So my intention is, if I cannot get the agentic tools reliable, I'm just going to ramp up the rest of the stuff with the normal WordPress components, because that's where the heart of this lies. And then I'll continue to try to get what I wanted to have done, which is this round trip, like Fernando gives you updates daily into MinuteLaunch, into the email, into YouTube. That's really where I'm setting my sights on this. And we'll see how it goes. So that's it. Let me know what you think in the comments on the YouTube video, or email me, and myself or Fernando will say thanks. Okay, bye guys.